Hello, everybody. Good to see you. Well, virtually see you.
Hello.
Today, we are here to talk about how to fortify your Linux systems with CIS Level 1 hardening. My name is Ilias, and I will be your facilitator for today. And with me, I have Joel Gonsalves, who is our extremely knowledgeable Linux system administrator for our cloud services here at Blue Crystal Solutions. Joel has been working in the IT industry for over 15 years and has too many licenses and certifications to list off, but they include Unix and AWS certifications. Today, this webinar should run for about 30 minutes with 20 minutes in presentation and 10 minutes at the end for questions. So before we kick off, just a little bit about us. For those of you who are new to BCS. So we're experts in cloud applications, database, and IT infrastructure since 2004. And we empower organizations with cutting-edge technology to maximize security, efficiency, productivity, and growth. And a recording of this webinar will also be emailed to you after this presentation. But now getting to why we're all here. Joel? How you going?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So Joel, what exactly is hardening and why do we need to use it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, in today's digital world, cyber threats are constantly evolving, and securing our IT infrastructure is paramount. Now you know that Linux systems are a critical component of many businesses, and securing them is important. So hardening refers to the process of actually configuring a system to be more secure by reducing its attack surface. So now when new systems are spun up on anywhere, usually it's quite open. You can install applications easily. You can run services quite easily on them because they want to make it more easier for you to run your applications. So hardening actually involves a number of steps such as disabling unnecessary services, removing unused accounts, and actually strengthening passwords. So just an example of hardening your system so that you can make the attack surface a little more smaller. And in this webinar, we'll learn about what is the importance of hardening Linux servers, why we use CIS Level 1, and why it is recommended, and how you can implement it in your organization as well.
Okay, great. Well, can you explain what CIS Level 1 hardening standards include?
Yeah, definitely. They are a set of guidelines provided by Center for Internet Security, CIS, to enhance the security posture of your systems. These standards cover various aspects of system configuration and security practices to mitigate common vulnerabilities and threats. Now, each CIS benchmark includes multiple configurations based on one or two profile levels. Level 1 being your base level configuration that is easier to implement and recommended for most of your systems. And you have level 2, which is used for more enhanced security, usually used by defense and government organizations, and require a bit more coordination when you implement that. So we implemented level 1 on our clients because that is actually recommended. And it's a consensus-based standard, which is actually developed by subject matter experts and security professionals in the industry. And they're used by businesses around the world. They're used by industry and academics as well.
Okay, all right. Well, that's great. So how did you implement CIS Level 1 hardening on SUSE Linux 18 and Oracle Linux 8? You know, were there any challenges there?
So when we were asked to implement CIS on our Linux systems on those versions, we generally went to CIS, which is the standard, which is the body that actually gives you the benchmarks and the scripts. When we checked with CIS on their site, they still hadn't developed scripts for SUSE Linux 15 and Oracle Linux 8. So when we check the benchmark PDF, there's a document which shows you what needs to be done, what checks, etc. That was probably close to 500 pages long and about 270 checks, which because there were no scripts and we would have to be compliant with that level, it will be a huge task to actually get all those checks done via scripts. So what we did, we researched a bit and found something called OpenSCAP, which we actually used then on our environment.
Right, OpenSCAP. Okay. Well, that's good to hear. So how exactly did you use OpenSCAP to do the CIS hardening?
Yeah, so when we learned about OpenSCAP, what we did was we set up a test server and we installed the OpenSCAP package on our servers, and immediately whatever we wanted was the scripts to remediate as in level 1 SUSE Linux servers. So we installed it, ran it, and then ran a report against it, and then we found out that most of whatever the benchmark says for level 1, we were able to remediate it.
Okay, all right. So how did you ensure the effectiveness of hardening measures and in compliance with the CIS Level 1 standards?
Yeah, so reporting was a huge, as it was very important when ensuring the compliance. We used tools like Tenable, which after we ran the remediation script, the report would run against the servers, and then we would get a report of how compliant we were, and it would actually tell us what checks didn't pass and what failed. So what we did was we looked at the ones that didn't fail and which was of high importance. Then we custom coded that into the main script, and then through various iterations, then got the percentage of compliance a little bit higher, close to about 95%. And that's when we decided, okay, fine, this is good to go. And generally, usually, you don't need to be 100% compliant because it all depends on your environment, what you're using, what you're not using. So when the client was okay with the 95% compliance, we rolled it out on the rest of the environment.
Okay, right. It's just some. Yeah. All right. So that sounds quite challenging, but I've heard that OpenSCAP now has made it even easier to get compliant and can be used for other benchmark standards as well. Is that right?
That's right. So, so OpenSCAP actually provides you with remediation and reporting on other standards as well, such as the HIPAA standard, which is used by the health insurance industry. They also provide remediation scripts for PCI DSS, which if you're processing credit card information on your IT infrastructure, that's important to have. And also, if you're just running servers of public cloud services like AWS and Azure, it provides you with security remediations to remediate as in to get to a good security posture there as well. So if you see the slide, this is, for example, some of the remediation and auditing functionality provided by OpenSCAP. And coming to how we use OpenSCAP on our environment, if you see, what we did first was we ran a report against what our present compliance level was. And if you see, this is actually a test system. I spun up a test system, SUSE Linux test system on AWS. And without running this remediation script, this was the compliance level. It was at about 70%. And shows us the number of checks that were passed and failed. Now, if I deep dive into the report, it would actually show me what checks passed and what checks failed. And I could deep dive into each check. For example, over here, I've gone into the disable SSH root login on the server. So here, it actually shows you, if you see the rationale, it tells you why that is important. It tells you what it's looking for on the server with for it to be compliant, and it also gives you an Ansible automation script as well as a bash script. So if you want to just plug certain scripts into your main script, you can do it from OpenSCAP as well. It actually provides you with the code as well. And after running the script, the remediation script, This was the compliance level. We reached the compliance level of 93%, which is quite good, without having to do any coding. This was just the script provided over OpenSCAP, and we got to a good compliance level with regards to CIS level 1. As I mentioned earlier also, OpenSCAP also provides you with remediations for other standards as well. Now, this is just a normal server that I spun up on the cloud on AWS. A normal server that anybody can spin up, and this is its compliance level with regards to just your public cloud services security standards. So this is just at 3%.
Yeah.
Running the script provided by OpenSCAP gave you a 99% compliance level. So which is quite good. You can just run it and you can be assured at least you're at a particular level of security with regards to your servers on the cloud. And the cost savings. Now, if you are on your public cloud services like AWS and Azure, if you're using CIS hardened images, you pay a small percentage for that particular level, which usually if you're running 10 CIS hardened images on AWS, you're paying an extra of about 2,500 AUD per year.
Yeah.
And with OpenSCAP, it's free, and you've got a great cost saving per year when you're just doing it via OpenSCAP.
Right.
Another thing is that OpenSCAP also has support for other distributions on Linux as well. I know that Red Hat, Ubuntu, and SUSE are commonly used within industry, and OpenSCAP provides support for those as well. So just in case, if you just need to be, even if you want to see what your compliance level is at, you can just run a report and you can see what your compliance level is without running the script, and then you can decide whether you want to go ahead and remediate based on your CIS level 1 standards.
Great. Well, Joel, it really sounds like OpenSCAP has been a really fundamental tool to helping you with that, the hardening process. Yeah. So now we're going to open it up to some questions. So do feel free, if you have any questions, to put them in the chat room, and we will run through them. So I'll give everyone a couple minutes if you have any questions to put them down. Okay, here we go. Got one. Can you share an example of a successful project you worked on and what made it successful?
Oh yeah, as I mentioned previously, it was one of our clients that actually had a requirement for having their server CIS compliant. Yeah. This was about 8 or 9 months back when we were just looking into this, and we use OpenSCAP for the remediation scripts. And whatever was missing, we actually custom coded it. But what we can do now is, suppose if any customer comes to us, we can directly go to OpenSCAP, get a report directly from using OpenSCAP, and makes it much faster for us to reach a compliance level. Earlier we used to use Tenable, and now probably we can just use OpenSCAP. So yeah, on our client previously, as I mentioned, we used Tenable as well as OpenSCAP. We got to a good compliance level. The security team, the client, were quite happy with what we achieved. Yeah, so yeah, that's what we did for my clients here.
Right, so we've got another question here. How does OpenSCAP detect changes in Linux or applications? Well, specifically, where did that go? Chat, here we go. Sorry, so how does OpenSCAP detect changes in Linux or application in relation to CIS control in place?
Yeah, so usually when if you're not running, if you're not hardening your systems, so OpenSCAP itself has profiles that it checks against. So you, when we install OpenSCAP, there are various profiles that you can use to evaluate your systems with. And as I showed you the report, it actually checks your configuration against those standards and then comes up with a report of what has passed and what has failed. So within OpenSCAP itself, it uses various profiles based on what you want, and then tells you whether you're compliant or not based on your configuration of your service.
Right. I hope that answers your question. I'll maybe just give it 1 or 2 more minutes to see if any more pop through. Okay, so that's all right. I think we'll wrap it up there. If you could just head to the last slide, please, Joel. Okay. So thank you everybody for joining. Thank you for joining. And as Joel mentioned, if you have any of the Linux distributions that are shown here on our slides, please please feel free to get in contact with us. And we can help you get those systems or any of your systems up to the CIS level 1 or level 2 standards. And you can feel free to reach out to those emails there. Anything Linux, you can reach out to the top one, which is bcsinfra@bluecrystal.com.au. And if you're interested in any other of our Blue Crystal Solutions services, that includes cloud managed services, database managed services, security or application services, please get in contact with our general information email there. As I mentioned, recording of this webinar will be sent to each of you after this. And thank you so much for joining this webinar. Thank you, Joel, for presenting. And you can stay updated about the rest of our webinars, articles, and anything that BCS has to offer via our social media. That's our LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. Thank you very much, and we'll see you at the next one.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.